everyone, and welcome to the Free Range Diva. I'm Cheryl, and I'm here to talk to you about one of my favorite days of the year, and that is the winter solstice. It happens tomorrow, December 21st, and it is the longest, darkest day of the year. After that, the days get progressively shorter until finally spring gets here, and the days are long and light again. It has been celebrated throughout the millennia because it brings the promise of spring in the darkest day of the year. The celebrations go on through Epiphany, which is also known as Twelfth Night, which happens in January. And historically, they have included things like the burning of the Yule log. Celtic celebrations include going door to door caroling throughout your neighborhood or your village, I guess. Other solstice traditions involve the lighting of candles around the room and telling stories by candlelight. There's also dances and feasting and the consumption of a hot mulled wine beverage known as wassail, or wassail, depending on the part of the country you're from. So I have, in celebration of the winter solstice, I decided to make myself some wassail to drink. It is, I actually found an old recipe on a UK website, and it was in grams and milliliters, so I had to convert it and then convert it down because my recipe is just serves about 2 to 3 people. And usually the wassail is made in a giant punch bowl to serve the entire neighborhood, so that when you come in from your caroling or your dancing or whatever festivities you've been doing, you have something very hot to drink. Traditionally, wassail consists of some sort of ale or hard cider mixed with port and spices and fruits. So that's pretty much the drink that I'm going to make. And before I actually show you that drink, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the meaning of the solstice and about my favorite play that happens to coincide with the solstice, and that's Twelfth Night by William Shakespeare. So Twelfth Night is the story of a young woman, Viola, who finds herself alone after a shipwreck in which her beloved brother is killed. She is now alone in a magical and strange land by the name of Illyria, and in order to survive, she disguises herself as a boy and actually ends up working for the lord of the land as his page. She finds herself trapped by her disguise when she unexpectedly develops feelings for her lord and master. She goes on to explain to him the story of her sister, when actually she's talking about herself, and her sister's love for a man that she could not express. She says, "She never told her love, but let concealment, like a worm in the bud, feed on her damask cheek. She pined and thought, and with a green and yellow melancholy she sat, like patience on a monument, smiling at grief. Was not this love indeed?" Twelfth Night is a comedy, and Viola is thrown every which way in this topsy-turvy, farcical land that is Illyria, until finally she throws up her hands and gives her situation over to Time. "Thou must untangle this, not I. 'Tis too hard a knot for me to untie." Well, eventually the knot is untied. Viola gets a beautiful resolution to her story that will leave you, the audience, laughing and crying. And that's the message and the meaning of the holiday for me, is that no matter how desperate, how dark your situation, if you can just hold on and have faith, there will be relief. there will be a spring. Nothing lasts forever, be it good times or bad times. And with that, I give you Wassail to celebrate the winter solstice. So I'm starting out by roasting half of a small apple that I have generously sprinkled with, I should use brown sugar, but we didn't have any, so I used raw sugar. And then the orange, it's a quarter of an orange, and that has been lightly sprinkled with powdered cloves. I'm going to add a little water to this dish, cover it, and then roast it at 375 until probably about half an hour, 45 minutes, until the sugar is nicely caramelized and the orange has given up most of its juices. They've come out of the oven. They're piping hot, and there's a little bit of sugar syrup down at the bottom. So these are ready now for the next phase of our wassail. So here are the ingredients for the port. I've got 1 1/3 cups of apple cider, unsweetened, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm going to start with putting 1 tablespoon in first, tasting it, and then seeing if it needs a second tablespoon. Traditionally, this drink is prepared with hard cider, so to harden up this cider, I've got a little brandy here. And then the other traditional ingredient is fortified wine, usually port. And so I have some nice port. So it's 2½ tablespoons of each of the spirits, and then a healthy dash of spices. And traditionally, the spices are cinnamon, ginger, cloves, which is the same thing that's in pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to put in a healthy dash of pumpkin pie spice. I have this on a medium-low heat, and I'm going to add in my ingredients and stir them up really well. So sugar first. It's about a tablespoon. Mix that in really well. This is the brandy going in. It's 2½ tablespoons, and the same amount of the port. I have this on a medium-low heat. I do not want this to boil. I only want it on a low simmer. Time for a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. Just going to do a quick taste. Oh, that's very good. It's appley. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar. Now I'm going to take my orange and my apple. These can be a garnish. I'll just put them back in and let their flavors kind of infuse along with the juice that was left over from in the pan. Okay, so I'm just going to let this go for about 5 or 10 minutes on a very low simmer, and then I'll be back. So here we have, it's been simmering for a little while, and I just tasted it, and I think it's good. It's sweet, it's fruity, it's got nice spices, and it's very comforting. So I'm going to put this in a cup and sit down and have some. Traditionally, this would have been served with nuts, dried fruits, oranges. I've got some nuts here, some dried figs, dried cranberries, and chocolate because it has to be. And there is my drink, and that is my Santa Claus cup. This was made by my great aunt probably 60 years ago. It's part of a punch bowl set. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a beautiful solstice and a beautiful holiday season. See you soon.